The Patterson family arrived in England on a rainy September morning. The sky was gray, and the air was cold and wet. Jason and Emily Patterson, along with their two children, Lucy, age 7, and Thomas, age 12, were exhausted from the long flight from Canada. But they were also excited. They had inherited an old country house from Emily's late great-aunt, whom she had never met. The house was located deep in the countryside, near a quiet village called Elmbrook. It stood alone at the edge of a dense pine forest, far from neighbors, traffic, or city noise. The property was huge, surrounded by old stone walls and covered in fallen leaves. The building itself was tall and dark, with ivy crawling up the sides and wooden shutters that creaked in the wind. "It looks spooky," Thomas muttered, clutching his backpack. Emily smiled, though her eyes didn't. "It just needs some love." Inside, the house was musty and dim, the air thick with the scent of old wood and forgotten memories. Cobwebs clung to the corners, and the floorboards groaned beneath their feet. As they explored room after room, Lucy stopped suddenly at the bottom of a narrow staircase leading to the attic. "There's someone upstairs," she whispered. Jason looked at her, puzzled. "Lucy, no one's here but us." But Lucy didn't respond. She just stared upward, her eyes wide. Later that evening, as the family settled in, Jason went up to the attic to store some boxes. The room was large, filled with dusty trunks, old furniture, and thick shadows. Near the window stood a rocking chair. It was beautiful, in an eerie kind of way, made of dark mahogany wood, polished smooth despite the dust, with thin floral carvings along the arms. A faded red cushion sat on the seat. It looked oddly untouched, as if someone had been using it recently. Jason walked over and gave it a push. It rocked forward, then backward, then forward again. Then it didn't stop. Jason stepped back as the chair continued to move slowly, gently, with no one in it. A cold breeze brushed his neck, though the window was sealed shut. He frowned, grabbed a sheet from a nearby trunk, and covered the chair. "Too creepy," he muttered to himself. Downstairs, Emily was unpacking dishes in the kitchen when Lucy walked in. "She's here," Lucy said softly. "Who, sweetheart?" "The lady in the attic. She sits in the chair. She told me to be quiet." Emily froze, a plate slipping from her fingers and shattering on the floor. That night, after the kids went to bed, Emily told Jason what Lucy had said. He laughed nervously and blamed it on imagination, maybe the stress of moving. But when they finally went to sleep, neither of them rested well. Strange noises echoed through the house. Footsteps on old wood, the slow creak of something rocking, back and forth, back and forth. At 3:17 a.m., Thomas woke up to use the bathroom. As he walked past the attic stairs, he stopped. The door was wide open. From above came the unmistakable sound of a rocking chair, moving on its own. Thomas climbed the stairs slowly, one hand gripping the wall. The chair was uncovered now, and it was rocking, and someone was sitting in it. She was old, with long, thin white hair. Her eyes were deep black holes, and her mouth was smiling far too wide. "You're not supposed to be awake," she said in a voice like wind through broken glass. Thomas screamed. The next morning, he remembered nothing, only that he had a horrible nightmare. But when Jason went up to the attic again, he found the chair uncovered, still rocking. The next few days were cold and quiet. The Patterson family tried to settle into their new life in the countryside, but the house never quite felt like home. The floors creaked too much. The air was always cold, even when the fireplace burned all night. And the attic, it never stayed quiet. Jason tried to convince himself that it was just an old house making old sounds. But every night, around the same time, he would wake to the sound of wood creaking, long, slow creaks, like a chair gently moving back and forth. Back and forth. He never told Emily. Not yet. Thomas, on the other hand, had become quiet and pale. He said nothing about the woman he saw in the attic, because he wasn't sure if it was real or not. But every night, he locked his door and slept with the lights on. Lucy had changed too. She spoke less to her parents and more to her invisible friend, the one she called the Red Lady. She said the lady lived in the rocking chair. She used to be a mother, Lucy told Emily while drawing with crayons one afternoon. But her baby got sick and died. She was all alone. So now she wants another family. Emily smiled uneasily. That's a sad story, Lucy. Did you read that somewhere? No, Lucy said. She told me. She says she likes our house. She says she likes me. That night, Jason decided to lock the attic door. He went up around 10 p.m. Flashlight in hand. The attic was still and silent, the rocking chair sitting perfectly still in the corner. He walked toward it, heart pounding for no reason he could understand. He paused just in front of it. He whispered, "Stop messing with my family." Then he reached out and touched the chair. Nothing happened. He let out a shaky breath and turned away. But just before he left the attic, he heard a whisper, not loud, not clear, but right next to his ear. "You shouldn't have touched it." Jason spun around, flashlight beam darting across the dusty room. No one was there. He ran out, slammed the attic door, and locked it. The following day, they tried to act normal. Emily cooked pancakes. Jason took the kids outside to rake leaves. They laughed for the first time in days. But when they came back inside, the mood shifted immediately. The attic door was wide open. Jason ran up the stairs 2 at a time. The lock had been broken clean off. Inside, the chair sat in the same spot. But now there were tiny child-sized handprints on the dusty floor around it. Lucy walked in behind him. "She's angry now," Lucy said softly. "You locked her away. She doesn't like that." Jason knelt down. "Lucy, you need to tell me the truth. Are you sneaking up here at night?" Lucy shook her head. "No, but she comes down to my room sometimes, when she rocks too hard." Jason felt cold flood through his chest. That night, Jason and Emily decided to sleep in shifts. Emily would stay up until 2 a.m., and Jason would take the second half. They didn't say it out loud, but both were afraid of what might happen if no one was watching. At 3:13 a.m., just before Jason's alarm, the rocking began again. But this time it wasn't slow. It was violent. The creaking was loud and fast. Slam, 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 like something was throwing the chair back and forth. Jason rushed upstairs and burst into the attic. The chair was slamming itself against the floor, banging with force. And Lucy was sitting in it. Her eyes were closed. Her mouth was moving. But she wasn't speaking English. Jason ran to her, grabbed her shoulders, and shouted her name. Her eyes flew open, bright red for a moment, then returned to normal. She blinked, dazed. "She was showing me her baby," Lucy said calmly. "He died in this chair. Now she wants me to stay with her." Jason carried her out of the attic, holding back panic. When he turned back, the chair had stopped moving, but it was still rocking. It had been a week since Jason found Lucy rocking violently in the attic chair. The attic door was now nailed shut. Jason used 2 planks of wood and a dozen long nails, sealing it completely. But still, every night, they heard the chair, rocking, back and forth, even without anyone inside. Emily began to look pale and hollow. She had started sleepwalking. Twice, Jason found her standing at the foot of the attic stairs, her hand reaching for the doorknob that was no longer there. When he asked her what she was doing, she only whispered, She's calling me. Jason was done pretending it was just in their heads. He contacted a local historian in Elmbrook, an old man named Arthur Willows, who had lived in the village his whole life. Arthur agreed to meet at a nearby cafe. Jason sat across from him, exhausted. Do you know anything about the house we're staying in? The one near the forest? Arthur's expression changed immediately. He set his teacup down slowly. You inherited the Marrow house. Jason frowned. Marrow? Arthur nodded grimly. That house has a long, dark history. It once belonged to Adelaide Marrow, a midwife and healer from the 1800s. People said she was kind until her child died of illness. Something inside her broke. She began taking children from nearby villages, claimed she was giving them new life. Jason's blood turned cold. What happened to her? She was hanged in 1874, Arthur said, but her body was never buried. Her rocking chair was burned, but some say she cursed it, so it could never be truly destroyed. Jason leaned in. Wait, her rocking chair? Arthur looked at him carefully. The curse was tied to blood. They said the only way the spirit could return fully was if a descendant of her bloodline entered the house again. Jason's heart stopped. Emily? That night, Jason told Emily everything. The story, the curse, the bloodline. She didn't argue. She didn't panic. She just stood up and walked away. When Jason went looking for her, she wasn't in the kitchen, not in the bedroom. Then he heard a sound. Thud, 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 coming from inside the attic. But the door was still nailed shut. He slowly climbed the stairs, flashlight shaking in his hand, and saw something that made him freeze. The nails were gone. The boards had been pulled off, not broken, removed cleanly. The attic door was wide open. Jason stepped in slowly. The air was freezing. The chair sat in the same place, rocking. Emily was in it. Her head tilted back, eyes rolled into white. She was whispering a lullaby, a low, broken, ghostly tune. Then she spoke in a voice that was not hers. She's awake now. She's inside me. And she knows. Jason took a step closer. Emily, please fight this. Emily's head dropped forward. When she looked up again, her eyes were no longer human. She was never after Lucy, the voice said. Jason's voice trembled. What do you mean? She needed me. The blood, the womb, the child I carry now, it will be hers. Jason staggered back. Emily was pregnant. She hadn't told him yet. Then the voice whispered, And you, Jason, you're just another father who won't survive. Suddenly, the attic door slammed shut behind him. The chair stopped rocking. The light went out, and Jason screamed. Darkness swallowed Jason whole. The attic was pitch black. The air was ice. The only sound was breathing, not his own. Then, a voice, soft, gentle, motherly, spoke just beside his ear. You should never have come here. Jason fumbled with his phone, flicked on the flashlight. The beam caught the rocking chair, now still. Emily was gone. In her place sat a figure, a woman in a faded black dress, her long white hair hanging over her face. Her hands rested on her stomach. Her nails were black. Her skin looked gray, as if rotting. And then the chair moved. Back and forth. Back and forth. Jason turned and ran. But the door, which had slammed shut earlier, was now bricked over. There was no exit. He beat the wall with his fists until his hands bled. Behind him, the woman began humming the lullaby again. That same broken, haunting tune. Jason turned around and shouted, Take me, not them! Leave my family alone! The woman stopped rocking. She looked up and smiled. They already belong to me. Lucy sat alone at the kitchen table drawing. Thomas stood by the window, watching the forest. Emily stood in the hallway. But something was wrong. Her stomach was slightly swollen now. Too swollen for a pregnancy just a few weeks along. She turned to Lucy. "Go upstairs, dear." Lucy blinked. "I don't want to." Emily's face twisted, just for a moment. Not in anger, but in something darker, hunger. Thomas spoke without turning around. "That's not Mom." Emily's eyes went black. Lucy screamed. Police arrived after a neighbor reported screams. They found the house silent, untouched, but strangely cold. All the furniture remained in place. All the rooms were empty. All except one, the attic. There in the center sat the rocking chair. Rocking. Back and forth. Back and forth. On the cushion were two things. A child's drawing of a woman with long white hair holding a baby. And a note, written in a shaky adult hand. "She only needs one." The Patterson family was never found. The house was put up for sale again. No one bought it. But sometimes, hikers passing through the woods near Elmbrook say they hear something. A lullaby. A creaking sound. A mother rocking her child.